Brother lads, welcome back to the Cossy Arsenal podcast. My name is Cossy. Welcome back to a brand new video. Takehiro Tomiyasu is injured. Arsenal have flown out to the USA for their USA tour. Arsenal are working to sign a striker who could be Victor Gyokerez, according to Court of Side. And the process to sign Mikel Moreno by Arsenal has started. In this video, we delve into some of the biggest stories that have happened around Arsenal, especially in transfers this week, but also some of the big stories that could impact the team, even if they are not transfer news. Let's start off with the tour. Arsenal have flown out to the USA today, and a couple of players have actually been named into that squad by Mikel Arteta. A few youngsters and a few players that are also ready to start for the big team. The goalkeepers that have actually gone is Karl Hein, Tommy Setford, who has signed for Arsenal today, Lucas Nigard, and Alexei Roya have actually gone to the tour. Defenders, Ben White, Alexander Zinchenko, Julian Timber, Josh Nicholas, Jakub Kivio, Aiden Heaven, and Omar Rekik. There is no Takehiro Tomiyasu there because of a knee injury. We're going to talk about that. The midfielders that have traveled: Thomas Partey, Jorginho, Mikael Roysak, Miles Lewis-Skelly, Martin Odegaard, Emil Smith-Rowe, Fabio Vieira, Ethan Nwaneri, Salah Eddin, Olad Mahan, and Jimmy Goa. And the forwards, you have Leandro Trossard, Reece Nelson, Charles Sago Jr., Gabriel Jesus, and Edward Nketiah. Those are the players, and that is the full squad that has traveled to the USA to play our USA tour games, including Manchester United, including Liverpool, and including Bournemouth as well. Now, Arsenal have also confirmed that Takehiro Tomiyasu will stay in London to nurse another knee injury, and he will not be part of the USA tour. According to Fabrizio Romano, Arsenal confirmed that Takehiro Tomiyasu has a knee problem, will remain in London to receive treatment, and he will not travel for pre-season. Same for Kieran Tierney, due to a hamstring injury that he actually sustained at the Euros. Now, according to the information I've seen on the Takehiro Tomiyasu story, is that he might be out for around 2 to 3 weeks. That means that the whole of July and maybe the first 1 week or the first 2 weeks of August. The question with Takehiro Tomiyasu, guys, is he a little bit of an injury-prone player, and do we need to be worried? Do we need to be concerned? Yes, we've been talking about moving on Kivio. We've been talking about moving on other players like Zinchenko, but Takehiro Tomiyasu's reliability is becoming a problem. This is a guy that is picking up knee problems and knee injuries in training. You literally, you've not played a full season for Arsenal as a club, and you're more injured than the guys that are actually playing every single day. But I want your thoughts on Takehiro Tomiyasu. Yes, it's an injury, and that means that you won't see him during preseason. We will see him during the start of the season. It's a little bit unfortunate for him because at the moment there is a lot of competition in the Arsenal team. In these defensive positions, there is a lot of competition. So he would have wanted to be part of preseason and probably start the season, but that is not going to happen. Right, let's dive into the big transfer stories of the week. Let's start off with the Ricardo Calafiori story. Obviously, by now you know that Ricardo Calafiori is an Arsenal player. However, still we have latest information on the Ricardo Calafiori story. Arsenal have given Mikel Arteta, people at Arsenal have given Mikel Arteta a lot of friction on this deal, and Mikel Arteta and Edu, this time they've had to go not really against the board, they've had to convince the board that Ricardo Calafiori is a necessary signing. Now, the people in Arsenal are saying that in the area where Mikel Arteta wants to sign Ricardo Calafiori, or where he has signed Ricardo Calafiori, that is an area where he has a lot of players. And secondly, the reason as to why many people have been objecting to us signing Ricardo Calafiori internally at the club is that the club only conceded 29 goals last season. So if we conceded 29 goals last season, they were asking Mikel Arteta, why are we adding another defender? So Mikel Arteta has not had it easy to get this one done. Obviously, they looked at the price as a little bit inflated due to the Euros, and Mikel and Edu have worked hand in hand to get the Ricardo Calafiori deal done. Obviously, there were a few clubs that were trying to hijack this one, but according to Fabrizio, Arsenal were very confident the player wanted to play only for us, and therefore that is how we escaped that. In terms of the people who are not 100% convinced about Ricardo Calafiori's signing, I think Mikel Arteta is going to face a lot of, pushback during the season. He has to pray that this signing works. Otherwise, a signing that many people don't approve of in the club, inside the walls of the club, that is a kind of a difficult one to actually protect. So let's wait and see how Ricardo Calafiori joins Arsenal, especially in the tour in the USA. But that one is a done deal. So after Ricardo Calafiori, it has been reported that Arsenal are now working to sign a striker. That's according to Court of Sign. And they have named 2 strikers, which is a surprise. One of them is a surprise. One of them is not a surprise. So Court of Sign are saying that Arsenal will try to go and sign Victor Gyokerez. They are very, very certain that that player could add value to the Arsenal side. There's no question about that. He will add value to the Arsenal side. Of course, we'll talk about Eddie Nketiah. This deal also depends on Nketiah's movement. But if Arsenal are seriously considering Victor Gyokerez, I love the sound of that. The other player is Ivan Toney. So Court of Sign are saying there are 2 top candidates for Arsenal. There is Ivan Toney, and then there is also Victor Gyokerez. For me, Ivan Toney could be because of the market price. And I also don't think that Ivan Toney is a very bad player, because Man United at the moment are trying to invest money in Ivan Toney as a striker. So with Ivan Toney, Arsenal could look at him as a market opportunity in terms of the price. But with Victor Gyokerez, you have 2 things. You have a player who's a little bit young, so that means that you can have him for like 6-7 years on top of the game. And he's also in his prime. That means that you bring him to deliver now and deliver right now. Of course, the Arsenal hierarchy view Gabriel Jesus as a top 5 forward in the world. That's a little bit, I would say, alarming. But it looks like Arsenal have not 100% given up on signing a new striker. So let's wait and see. Is it going to be Gyokerez? Is it going to be Ivan Toney? I would not have a problem with either of them. I think Gyokerez, like I've said, long term and also in his prime. Ivan Toney, we all know what he can do. He will take all the penalties that we get at Arsenal. And because we know that he's a clinical finisher. So let's wait and see what develops into the striker situation. Mikel Merino. This week, Arsenal have started the transfer process to sign Mikel Merino, and that is one of the headlines that I wanted to hear. Now, according to Matt Moreto, one of the very, very reliable journalists in Spain, he can confirm that Arsenal have already officially reached out the entourage of the player to try and agree personal terms with Mikel Merino. Matt Moreto also reports that although Atletico Madrid felt that they were front runners for this deal, the fact that Barcelona and Arsenal are actively and seriously trying to sign Mikel Merino, the deal has become very, very difficult for Atletico Madrid. This one, I think, will depend on the ESR story that we're going to talk about. I think with ESR, the moment ESR leaves, we are going to see Mikel Merino come in. The moment Mikel Merino comes in, we're going to see ESR leaving the club as well. So for me, it's kind of a win-win situation. Mikel Arteta is weighing both sides of the coin, asking himself which is better. Do I let go of ESR and bring in Merino, or do I keep ESR and don't sign Merino? At the moment, in terms of the beam balance, looks like Merino coming in is a likelihood, and ESR leaving is also a much bigger likelihood. Now, this week we've been linked with Adrien Rabiot as part of the midfield strategy that we're trying to fulfill or accomplish or implement. Rabiot is a free agent who's not going to stay at Juventus. He's told Juve, I'm going to be moving on. I'm not going to sign a new deal with you guys. And Arsenal somehow have been linked with Adrien Rabiot. Now, I do like Rabiot. I think if Rabiot signed for Arsenal, we would do a Rabiot appreciation party for Arsene Wenger, because Wenger wanted Adrien Rabiot for almost 10 years. This guy, Wenger was bogglingly obsessed with Rabiot, and you could see why. He's a very, very versatile player, technically gifted, very physical, intelligent footballer as well, and he's played at the top level, PSG, Juventus, and now could be going to maybe Man United, maybe Arsenal. Like, he's such a very, very heavy talent, Adrien Rabiot. But why see Rabiot at Arsenal? No, guys, I don't see Adrien Rabiot at Arsenal. I really, really, really don't. I really don't. Now, this week, Pedro Neto has become a bit of a transfer priority for Arsenal, as Nico Williams has become a transfer priority and a very likely signing for FC Barcelona. Now, of course, according to reports that came out from Kaya Kainak and a couple of other journalists like James Peng, Arsenal really love Nico Williams. They really feel he's the player that they like. Team News and Ticks and The Athletic have talked about this all the time, that if Arsenal were to go and sign a winger this summer, Nico Williams would definitely be on top of the list. However, Barcelona have said, this is Spain and we rule Spain. We are going to sign Nico Williams and there is nothing you can do about it. And in the end, Arsenal have actually accepted. They are looking elsewhere. And Pedro Neto is one player that Arsenal have been linked with this week. According to some sources, Team News and Six says that Arsenal met the representatives of the player. Preliminary talks or primary talks have actually taken place between the representatives of the player and Arsenal. And Wolverhampton Wanderers are still sanctioning a sell. They're saying 50 to 60 million, and then you'll have Pedro Neto as your own player this summer. With Nico Williams, I understand why Arsenal feel that way. Yeah, he's a player that we want to add to this squad, but he's a player that's not going to be easy to sign. He's such a very difficult acquisition to get, so I wouldn't really blame my club for not getting Nico Williams. But when it comes to Pedro Neto, his injury record is a reason for Arsenal to be a little bit scared. And after signing Ricardo Calafiori, a player who has suffered a line of injuries, you don't want to add another player who is susceptible to suffer another line of injuries at Arsenal. So Pedro Neto, and in between yes and no man's land. I don't think I'm really in the no zone, because I don't think Arsenal should get out of this window without a right winger or a left winger for that case. So Pedro Neto, if he's the only one available, go and get him. If we can do any other deal, please go and do that other deal. Also, in terms of the winger situation, Arsenal have been linked with Yasser Asprilla at Watford. We have also been linked with Rafinha and Federico Chiesa this week. However, nothing has developed on all those fronts. Going back to the signings, Arsenal have signed another goalkeeper this week. We have also sent in another bid for another goalkeeper this week, and we are still doing a lot of work in the goalkeeping department this week. I mean, it has been crazy in terms of Arsenal goalkeeping situations this week. But first and foremost, Arsenal have signed Tommy Setford for a fee below 1 million. Yeah, I'm sorry, right? It's below 1 million from Ajax, just 18 years of age. He signed a 4-year deal, and he has an option to, we have an option to add another year if he actually does very well. And the player, as I've already told you, he has traveled with the Arsenal team to the USA. You can see his name there, Carl Hayne, and then Tommy Setford. He has traveled with the team to the USA. Arsenal have also this week sent a bid to Wolverhampton Wanderers, a second bid. This is not the 50k. This is the 300k. So Arsenal, after sending in an embarrassing bid of £50,000, we have multiplied that by 6 times, and we have sent in 300,000 in terms of a transfer fee or transfer bid for Dan Bentley at Wolverhampton Wanderers. Wolves have not given us an answer yet, but we wait for that. Okay, so that is in terms of incomings. But what have we done in terms of outgoings? We've done some great work, including receiving bids, rejecting bids, and players agreeing personal terms. So where do we start? Let's start off with the 2 bids that Arsenal have been rejecting this week. One from Crystal Palace and the other from Fulham. Now, according to Ed Aarons from The Guardian, Arsenal's rejection of bids for ESR is on two grounds. One, they actually like the player at Arsenal. They are not quick and they are not desperate to let him go. So they're not kicking him out. We are not kicking out ESR. Secondly, Arsenal value the player at around £40 million, and both bids that came in were below £40 million. The Fulham bid was around 25 to 30 million, and Arsenal still think that Fulham will increase their offer. And Arsenal are right, because Fulham, according to reliable reports, are working on a new bid to get Marco Silva's top priority target, who is Emil Smith-Rowe. Crystal Palace as well are preparing a bid at 30 million. I thought we rejected the 30 million bid from Fulham. How are Crystal Palace bringing in a 30 million bid? This week we have learned that Crystal Palace are also structuring a £30 million bid to sign ESR. By the time we come out of preseason, we will know the future of the player. But the player whose future we know is Thomas Partey, who has decided to stay at Arsenal this summer. Thomas Partey is going to stay at Arsenal for 1 more year, and then after that, we will say goodbye. No offers yet from Saudi Arabia and the PIF, despite more reports coming out to say that Partey was closer to leaving rather than staying. Arsenal received an offer for Edouard Nketiah, and that offer comes in from Olympique Marseille. Marseille have agreed already, on personal terms. They have the green light from the player. It's about Arsenal and Olympique Marseille to agree a price, and Edouard Nketiah will be part of the Marseille revolution. And finally, this comes as a surprise. It's a shocking story. Reiss Nelson could leave Arsenal. My God! This is a surprise to me. Reiss Nelson has agreed personal terms with West Ham. It's not a surprise. The player's already told Arsenal that he wants to leave around 20 days ago. And now it looks like work is being done in the pipeline. Let's hope we can get rid of him quickly and we get some other signings in as well. That is Arsenal's week. Tomorrow, we build up to this week.